Welcome back, wonderful humans. I'm Danielle and I currently live alone and I'm trying to shift towards healthy meals whilst remaining on a budget. Here's what I ended up eating this week. Saturday, I ended up finishing off the last bit of some of that gammon that I had. When I say the last bit, it wasn't quite the last bit. You'll see it pop up again later on in the video. But I finished off most of the main sturdy, chunky bits of it. Then for lunch, as usual, I did go out with my mum on Saturday, so I just had one of the Greg's ham and egg sandwiches, some of those free range egg pots, as well as an innocent blue bolt drink, coming in at 587 calories, so pretty hefty for a lunch. Then for dinner, just ended up having some ice cream. I did also have some bubble tea in the afternoon as well, which again, definitely not the best in terms of the sugar content that I did consume overall in the day. But it was a tasty day, all the same. Then for Sunday, I completely skipped breakfast. I was having a bit of a slow start to my day and instead had more of a sort of a brunchy lunch of a tuna and sweet corn sandwich alongside with some Sour Patch Kids. Obviously, ended up coming in pretty high in calories, but like I said, that was more of a brunch. I think I had it around 11:30 on that particular day. And then for dinner, this is finally the very last bit of that gammon that I mentioned. And I just did it with a few vegetables and then some rice, sort of doing it into an egg fried rice. So that was pretty tasty and yummy, and obviously good to get a few things used up out of the fridge as well. Monday, I'm on earlies this week. In fact, I'm on earlies pretty much all month for work. So I had some of that 0% fat Greek yogurt with about 100 grams of blueberries and about 100 grams of raspberries as well. I did measure them all out to keep it all pretty much on track to be able to measure it accurately. Then for my lunch, I had some of the beef instant noodles. Not obviously the healthiest thing, and definitely obviously not loaded with protein or anything. So I did end up needing an afternoon snack. And I just had some grapes and some Sour Patch Kids. Again, not the healthiest thing, but I wanted to at least get something in terms of some sort of fruit or vegetable in me. And I had some grapes I wanted to use up. And then for my dinner, I had a simple dinner of some tuna pasta. So just some shells with some cheese, some vegetables, and of course that tuna mixed all through it as well. It was definitely tasty, and at least having so much tuna was higher enough in protein to sort of help to boost me up a little bit throughout the rest of the day as well, because the totals weren't very high otherwise. Then for Tuesday's breakfast, I did just have more of that yogurt with some more of the berries as well. I tried to make sure or see that I did use up all of those bits of fruit before they did end up going bad because I did get quite big punnets of each of them. I found that the blueberries were super chunky in size, and that was definitely a pleasant surprise as well. But then I did later on just have an apple and some more Sour Patch Kids. I like these apples because I find that I'm able to chomp into them, but I don't find them the tastiest of ones. So it's a bit of a difficult situation for me because I really struggle to chomp onto something like a Granny Smith apple. But then for my lunch, I actually had some of the chicken instant noodles, but apparently I forgot to grab a shot of it because I was in a pretty much a quite a lot of rush for my Tuesday lunch. And then for dinner, I did some Cajun seasoned chicken along with some cauliflower rice. I had a cauliflower that I wanted to use up, and I knew I wanted something that felt a bit substantial with the chicken. So that seemed like a perfect solution. Then on Wednesday, I bet you can't guess what happened, but for breakfast, I did yet again have some more of those blueberries and raspberries with that 0% Greek fat yogurt. I am looking forward to picking some more of that up during my sort of food shop because I did find it actually, in some ways, I found it to be tastier than the 10% fat one. And obviously, it is less in calories and still pretty high in protein. But then for my lunch, I had some of the pumpkin soup that I made previously. I popped it out of the freezer, warmed that through after it had all nicely defrosted, and then had it with an apple on the side as well. Pretty nice low calorie lunch there. And, it's good to be able to get a bit of sort of fruit and vegetables in on my lunchtime without necessarily feeling sort of like I'm chomping my way through all of them at once. Then for my afternoon snacks, I had roasted up some chickpeas, so I decided to have a handful of those. Less fun story, I consumed these and then went on to my work calls again afterwards and immediately had to mute myself because I think some of the curry powder got a little bit stuck in my throat and I just could not stop coughing at all. But then for dinner, I treated myself, made the choice to do one of those steaks that I got from the butcher's with some chips, green beans in the air fryer, and then some mushrooms on the side as well. And I also opened the red wine that I got in Lidl last week to see what it was like. And it was definitely a wonderful combination. And just, yeah, it was obviously pretty simple and pretty quick, but I definitely had a lot of protein in there as well. Then for Thursday's breakfast, I'd finished off those raspberries the other day and some of them were starting to turn a bit bad. So I did just finish the rest of that yogurt off with some more blueberries. Decided not to bother putting it into a separate bowl, seeing as I was finishing it off. Yeah, it was just super yummy and comforting. And you know what? I love to have fruit and yogurt and that sort of thing in the morning. And it's obviously pretty quick and simple to do as well, even though I was having it most of the time during my sort of first break of my work shift this week. Then I did just have some roast chickpea snacks as well. Just that had a handful of them to keep me going again all the way through until my lunchtime when I decided to do some sardines that came in a tomato sauce on some toast. I know this isn't necessarily to everybody's taste, but I found it super yummy and it definitely filled that hole as well. And then for dinner, I breaded some pork up and did it with some of the sort of katsu paste and sauce that I had with some carrots and mushrooms, and then with some rice as well. The rice looks a funny colour because I did use the same thing to stir everything up, so it did end up transferring some of that sauce into the rice as well. But then for Friday, finally but not least, definitely the best day of the week in my opinion at the minute, I had some toast with quite a lot of margarine on it. Just wanted something that felt a bit buttery and it definitely hit the spot. In fact, Friday turns out to be quite a carb heavy day. But then for my lunch, I had a lighter lunch of the rest of that butternut squash soup. Again, I put some of it into the freezer and had defrosted it. And I just finished it off with some of those roasted chickpeas as well. I remembered that I'd put some curry seasoning into the soup, so given the fact that I had roasted those chickpeas with some curry seasoning, I figured it'd be a good combination. And then for dinner, I had one of the garlic and cheese pizzas, sort of one of the garlic and cheese pizza bases that you get in Lidl. And I topped it with some fresh cherry tomatoes and had that with a little bit more wine on the side as well. Obviously, super high in calories, not particularly nutritious, and obviously low in protein. But you know what? It filled the spot at the end of a busy week. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you again soon.